The desert was quiet except for the whistle of the dry wind that swept across the barren land. The horizon stretched endlessly, where the sun bled into the dust, and the silence was broken only by the distant call of a hawk circling overhead. On the dirt road that cut through this wasteland, a woman stumbled, barefoot, bruised, and covered in blood. Her breathing was ragged, her body trembling with each faltering step. A tattered white sheet clung desperately to her skin, wrapped around her like the last shred of dignity she had left. Her name was Evelyn Carter. Just 2 hours ago, she had been locked in a nightmare. She remembered fragments: the black truck, the laughter of men who reeked of whiskey, the suffocating sack pulled over her head. She remembered the rough hands, the violence, the desert becoming her prison. And then, the escape. She hadn't even known how she managed to run. Maybe fate had taken pity on her, or maybe the desert itself had grown tired of swallowing women whole. Now, on her knees in the dust, her voice cracked as she whispered, "Please, somebody help me." A shadow fell over her. She flinched, clutching the sheet tighter. But instead of cruel laughter, she heard the creak of leather, the sound of boots pressing into the dirt, and a low, steady voice. "Easy there, miss," the man said, crouching down beside her. "You're safe now. Ain't nobody here but me and my horse." Evelyn forced her eyes up. The man wore a wide-brimmed hat that shaded his weathered face. His shirt was rolled up at the sleeves, showing arms hardened from years of work. His eyes, gray, sharp, but not unkind, studied her with concern. Behind him stood a chestnut horse, its reins dangling loosely, nostrils flaring as if sensing her fear. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to collapse into his arms and trust the comfort in his voice. But after what she'd just endured, trust felt like a dangerous luxury. Who are you?" she rasped, her throat dry. "Name's Jack Hollister," he replied. "Rancher. Live about 10 miles west of here. I was checking the fence line when I spotted you." Evelyn shook her head. "They'll come back. They'll find me. Please, don't let them." Jack's jaw tightened. "Who's they?" Her lips quivered, but no words came out. She didn't have the strength to relive it, not yet. All she could do was clutch the sheet tighter as though it could shield her from memory. Jack didn't press. He reached into his saddlebag and pulled out a canteen, holding it toward her. "Drink. Slow now." The first sip of water hit her parched throat like fire. She coughed, spilling some down her chin, then drank greedily until Jack gently pulled it back. "Easy. You'll make yourself sick." The desert wind shifted, carrying the faint rumble of an engine. Evelyn's eyes widened in terror. She clutched Jack's sleeve. "It's them. I know it's them." Jack rose smoothly to his feet, scanning the horizon. A plume of dust curled in the distance, the telltale sign of a vehicle speeding along the road. His hand went instinctively to the revolver holstered at his hip. His voice was calm, steady, but firm. "Stay down, miss. Don't move." Evelyn pressed herself against the dirt, heart hammering, her body shaking as she tried to make herself invisible. Jack stood tall, hat tilted low, his silhouette framed by the blazing desert sun. The rumble grew louder until a black pickup truck barreled into view, dust cloud billowing behind it. It slowed when the men inside spotted Jack and the horse. 2 of them sat in the cab, rough-looking, with faces hardened by crime and arrogance. The driver leaned out, squinting against the sun. "You seen a girl come through here?" he called, his voice sharp. "She's ours." Ran off. Jack's eyes narrowed. He didn't move, didn't show fear. "Can't say I have," he drawled. "Ain't much out here but rattlesnakes and dust." The passenger sneered. "Don't lie to us, cowboy. We'll find her, and when we do, you'll wish you hadn't got in the way." Jack rested his hand casually on his revolver. "You boys best keep driving. Roads are long, sun's hot. Don't think you want trouble with me." For a tense moment, the desert held its breath. The driver's eyes flicked to Jack's revolver, then to the horse. He muttered something to his companion, spat into the dirt, and slammed the truck back into gear. The vehicle roared off, leaving another cloud of dust behind. Only when the sound faded did Evelyn dare to breathe again. She collapsed forward, sobbing into the dirt. Jack knelt beside her, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "They're gone, for now. But we can't stay here. You're coming with me." I can't," she whispered. "If they follow." "They won't," Jack interrupted firmly. "Not once we're off this road. Trust me." Something in his tone, the unshakable calm in his voice, broke through her fear. For the first time in what felt like forever, Evelyn felt a spark of safety. With trembling arms, she allowed Jack to help her up. He lifted her gently onto the horse, then swung up behind her, steadying her with one arm. As the horse carried them westward into the fading sun, Evelyn leaned against him, too exhausted to resist. Jack kept his eyes sharp on the horizon, knowing that danger wasn't gone, it had only just begun. The ride to Jack's ranch felt endless. Every hoofbeat thudded in Evelyn's ears like the pounding of her heart. She clutched the sheet around her body, afraid that even the wind might strip away what little protection she had left. The desert rolled by in waves of sand and rock, lonely fence posts dotting the horizon. She tried to keep her eyes open, but exhaustion dragged her down. By the time the sun dipped behind the jagged mountains, she had passed out against Jack's chest. When she awoke, the smell of hay and old wood filled her nose. She was lying on a bed, soft, warm, covered with a quilt that smelled faintly of lavender. The room was simple, with rough wooden beams, a dresser, and a small window through which moonlight streamed. For the first time in hours, she felt safe. Safe, but not free. Memories pressed against her like shadows she couldn't escape. A creak at the doorway made her flinch. Jack stood there, hat in his hand, his expression solemn. "You're awake. I figured you'd need rest." She sat up, clutching the quilt to her chest. Where am I?" "My place," Jack said simply. "Carter Ranch. Ain't much, but it's sturdy. You'll be safe here." He paused. "I patched up your cuts best I could. Ain't a doctor, but I know my way around wounds." Tears stung her eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Jack's gaze was steady, his voice quiet. "'Cause nobody deserves what you went through. And 'cause I've been on the other side of too many wrongs myself. When a person's running from hell, someone's gotta open the door." For a long time, Evelyn said nothing. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Thank you." Over the next day, Jack gave her space. He cooked simple meals, tended his horses, and checked the fences, but he always kept one eye on the road. Evelyn regained some strength, though she still jumped at every sound, her body wired with fear. Finally, as they sat at the small wooden table in his kitchen, she broke her silence. "There were 3 of them," she whispered. "They took me from the highway. Said no one would hear me scream out there. They thought they owned me." Her hands shook around the tin cup of coffee. "If you hadn't found me." Jack's jaw clenched. "You remember anything else? Truck plates, names?" She shook her head. "Just their faces. I'll never forget those faces." Jack leaned back, eyes narrowing. "Then they'll be back. Men like that don't let go easy." That night, the ranch seemed too quiet. The coyotes howled in the distance, and the wind rattled the barn doors. Jack kept his revolver within arm's reach. Evelyn, unable to sleep, paced the room, staring out the window. Her gut twisted when she saw headlights in the distance, crawling down the dirt road. "They found us," she whispered. Jack was already on his feet. "Stay inside. Lock the door." He grabbed his rifle from the rack, loaded it with steady hands, and stepped out into the darkness. The truck's engine roared as it pulled into the yard. Dust swirled in the headlights. 3 men stepped out, the same ones who had stolen Evelyn's freedom. Their leader, a tall man with a scar across his jaw, smirked when he saw Jack standing there with the rifle. "Evenin', cowboy," the man drawled. "We come for what's ours." Jack spat into the dirt. "She ain't yours. She's a human being, not property." The scarred man chuckled. "You don't understand. She saw things she wasn't supposed to. That means she don't get to walk away." Jack's grip tightened on the rifle. "You want her, you'll have to go through me." The men laughed, but there was no humor in it. One of them raised a shotgun, aiming it square at Jack. Evelyn, watching from the window, felt her stomach drop. She wanted to scream, to beg Jack to run, but her voice caught in her throat. The standoff lasted only seconds. Jack fired first. The crack of the rifle split the night, and the man with the shotgun went down, clutching his shoulder. Chaos erupted. Bullets tore through the silence, ricocheting off the wooden fence. Evelyn ducked behind the window, her hands shaking, tears streaming down her face. Jack moved with the precision of a man who had seen violence before. He rolled behind the water trough, returning fire with calm determination. The second man cursed, firing wildly into the darkness. Dust and sparks flew. Jack hit him square in the leg, sending him sprawling into the dirt. The leader snarled, eyes blazing. "You just signed your death warrant, Hollister." He charged forward, revolver blazing. Jack dove behind the barn, the wood splintering where the bullets struck. The scarred man stalked closer, step by step, fury in his eyes. Evelyn couldn't stay hidden anymore. Heart hammering, she grabbed the old revolver Jack had left on the table. Her hands trembled as she pushed the door open and stepped out into the night. "Leave him alone," she screamed, aiming the weapon with shaking hands. The scarred man froze, then smirked. "Well, look who found her courage." He raised his revolver toward her. "Too bad it won't save you." Before he could fire, Jack emerged from behind the barn. His shot rang true, striking the man square in the chest. The leader staggered, eyes wide with shock, then collapsed into the dust. Silence fell over the ranch. The only sounds were Evelyn's ragged breathing and the whinny of Jack's horse in the corral. The two injured men moaned on the ground, clutching their wounds. Jack strode over, kicked their guns away, and leveled his rifle. "You're done. Sheriff'll be here by dawn." Hours later, the sheriff arrived with deputies, hauling the injured men into the back of a truck. The bodies and the blood would leave scars on the ranch, but Jack didn't care. What mattered was that Evelyn was safe. She sat on the porch steps, the dawn painting the desert pink and gold. Jack joined her, lowering himself beside her with a tired sigh. For a while, they just watched the horizon. "You didn't have to risk your life for me," Evelyn said quietly. Jack adjusted his hat. "Maybe not, but if I'd let him take you, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror come morning." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." He gave her a small, tired smile. "You don't need to. Just live, heal. That's thanks enough." For the first time since her nightmare began, Evelyn let herself believe in tomorrow. The scars on her body and soul wouldn't vanish overnight, but sitting there beside Jack, with the rising sun chasing away the shadows, she felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. Weeks later, Evelyn had traded the torn sheet for clothes Jack had bought her from town. She helped around the ranch, mending fences, feeding the horses, and finding strength in the quiet rhythm of work. The nightmares still came, but less often. And each time, Jack was there, a steady presence who reminded her she wasn't alone. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the desert in hues of fire and gold, Evelyn looked out across the horizon and whispered to herself, "I survived. And I'm free." Behind her, Jack's voice came, calm and steady as ever, "And long as you're here, you'll stay that way." Together, they stood in the fading light, two souls bound not by blood or destiny, but by a promise born in the dust of the desert, that even in the wildest, harshest places, humanity and kindness could still prevail.